Grant goes, how many people does the stadium hold? The guy from the team goes, Joel Osteen had 35,000 people in there. And so Grant goes, guys, we need to do 35,000. And so when we're walking out, I'm already feeling like, man, how are we going to do this? And then he goes, it's your responsibility to sell all these tickets, right?
This is The Fighting Entrepreneur, the podcast dedicated to entrepreneurs looking to change the world. Learn how to start, build, and scale a business in today's highly competitive business environment. Here's your host, The Fighting Entrepreneur, Anik Singal.
What's up, you fighting entrepreneurs? This is Anik Singal back with another episode of The Fighting Entrepreneur. I'm pumped about today because we're going to answer a question that has been floating around social media and the online world for the last few weeks. It's been all we've been talking about, and that is how the heck did Grant Cardone and team get 35,000 people into a flippin' stadium for an event? This is unheard of. And we're going to find out today. We've got Grant Cardone's very own Vice President of Cardone Enterprises, Mr. Jarrod Glandt here. Jarrod, what's going on, man?
What's going on, brother? How are you? It's so good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great, man. Thank you for being here. All right, listen, we're going to do a couple of quick little things. Number one, onicpodcast.com. If you want show notes from this show and all the other ones in the past, go there right now. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and hit the subscribe button and leave us a review. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to kick off. First of all, I just want you guys to know about Jarrod. This guy is a powerhouse, and I'll tell you right now, when I need something done or when I have a question about sales or when I just want to get advice from the Cardone Enterprises, I go straight to Jarrod because this is the guy that truly runs things. And I've been in that office. I've had the pleasure and the honor of speaking at a GrowthCon, and I've just worked with Jarrod a lot, gotten to become good friends with him. So Jarrod, I just want to say hats off for you guys are crazy over there, man, at the pace that you guys work at and the fact that your hair is not white yet. That's the thing that surprises me.
I got a good head of hair. It grows fast. I keep it. I go to the salon, though, so they use really good shampoo.
Oh, man, some killer stuff that you guys have been doing. Jarrod, tell us a little bit about your role before we talk about GrowthCon and before we talk about what you guys did in this impossible feat you recently pulled off. Tell us a little bit about what you specifically do at Cardone Enterprises.
Yeah, so, I started working for Grant when I was 26 years old and was selling over the phone. I mean, it was kind of like a hybrid of a sales job and a reception job. And it slowly, like, as I started, getting my feet underneath me, it was all cold calls, outbound cold calls to businesses, trying to sell them corporate sales training. It's really where our business is rooted. And so that started growing, and I started really running hard with that. And I think after maybe a year and a half, I finally got Grant's attention. So, people out there are always like, man, if I worked every day for Grant and he tutored me and mentored me and helped me like he helped you. And I'm like, dude, you got another thing coming, because he didn't even know my name for probably the first year I worked there. So
how do you get Grant's attention, Jarrod? How does someone get Grant's attention?
It's simple. You produce.
Got it.
Anything, production of anything. Like it's, like people trying to do deals with him. He's like, what are they doing? Like, are they showing up to my events? Are they on my programs? Like, dude, you want to do a deal with me? Like, get on my products. Yeah. You want to do a deal with me? Support me. Like, you want me to do business with you? Like, where's the reciprocation at? Like, yeah. He's very, very easy to read. Like, do a deal with me. Like, buy my training, come to my event, or sell me something. Like, that is the way to get on Grant's radar. So if anybody out there is wondering, bring us a big, fat, juicy deal, and you'll definitely get on his radar.
That's amazing. So you went from ground up at Cardone Enterprises. It's not like you came in as a vice president. You didn't come from corporate. You're not some, fancy dancy executive. You came in, and through pure grit, hustle, hard work, and production, you now sit in the position you do with Grant. Is that correct?
Yeah, totally. When you show up and you have good work ethic, I've always had really good work ethic. I don't mind working. The last 6 months have been, a lot of work putting this event together. But the work never is a problem for me. And I think that if you show up every day, you work hard and you actually take ownership of what you're doing. I've got high levels of responsibility. I take responsibility for a lot of things, even things I can't control. I try to take responsibility for them because one of the things that I learned from Grant early on is you can't control things that you refuse to accept responsibility for. So I want to control more of the things around me. I want to have more control over my success. So that means I got to accept responsibility for things happen around me. And so really, 26 years old, I came in and spent the first 2 years really just getting familiar with the program, the company, with Grant, like trying to figure out the deal. And then once I started kind of grooving in, I just, I showed up every day like it was my business. I make decisions like that. I protect the brand. I handle every customer, I would handle customer complaints about a shipping address on a book or anything. Like it was literally picking stuff up off trash off the floor in the office. It's just like a full-on ownership of the role. And I think that's probably why, Grant thought enough of me to give me a little sliver.
That's awesome, man. Well, listen, congratulations. All right, let's get into the meat. I'm excited, Jarrod. So, Jarrod, we have a little tradition here at the Fighting Entrepreneur. So if you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jarrod Glandt.
I, Jarrod Glandt.
Do solemnly swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
Do solemnly swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
And help all Learn Nation members 10x their business.
And help all Learn Nation members 10x their business.
Sweet. All right. Well, if you're ready, let's move into round number 1. All right. So correct me if I'm wrong. I want to go over a little bit of the history of GrowthCon. GrowthCon 1 had about 3,000 people, or was it less than that?
2,300.
2,300. GrowthCon 2, which is the one that I spoke at, was freaking nuts. It was a stadium. It had over 9,000.
That was just under 9,000. It was like 8920.
Yeah, we're going to say 9,000 because I've been saying 9,000. So I'm going 9,000. All right.
Yeah, and you told me to tell the truth, so I'm trying to tell the truth.
That's true. I did tell you that. You know what? You're the first person to call me out on that. So good for you. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Keeping it real. GrowthCon 3. 35,000 is the number that's been getting floated around. What's the real number?
34,422.
Whew.
That's how many tickets were sold.
Man, that is just nuts. That's ridiculous growth. Why so fast? I don't like when Grant comes in and says, "Hey, we did 9,000 or 8,900 people. Now we're going to do 35,000." What do you guys even think? Like, why do you need to grow even that fast?
Well, I think that's actually one of the things that is most exciting about working with Grant. And for anybody out there who's a leader of a company, this is one of the most powerful traits that you can have because of what it communicates to your team. Like when we're with Grant, it's always about expansion. Like we believe in our mission. Like this is all predicated by the fact that you have a great product, you treat customers the right way, you don't screw people over, you're not a scam. Like you've got to have like a solid foundation. But once you get that in, like you have to grow. Like if you believe in all of those things, you're a hypocrite if you don't expand. And for us, fortunately, we've got a captain who wants to grow and expand. Grant believes that our content and our material changes people's lives. We've got thousands of case studies that support that, but we want it all around the world. We want people to know how to feed themselves. I mean, when you can impact somebody's ability to produce income, take care of their family, their household, and change the condition and the way that they live their life, you should be pushing that out. It's almost like a spiritual obligation or like some higher level obligation that we have because of what we do. And I mean, it's not like we're, selling a phone or a razor. Like we're literally changing people's lives here. And it sounds kind of cliche, but it's the truth. So we keep setting goals that are higher and higher for our company. Like when somebody goes through one of your programs and you turn around and next thing you know, they've got a 7-figure business. You're like, it gives you a sense of accomplishment and purpose and fulfillment in the work that you're doing. And a lot of people don't have any of those, let alone one or two of them. And so when you have purpose and you have fulfillment and you're taking care of people and you're helping people and you're making an impact, it just becomes this self-fulfilling thing where you just want to continue to grow and get out to more people. So, that is what drives us here. Conversations here always start with, man, we got to help more people. We got to get to more places. Grant bought this jet here to go around the world. He didn't buy it because he likes to go on vacations and hang out. He built it because it's going to give us access, or he bought it because it's going to give us access to people around the world. So.
So let's talk about that moment when Grant came to you and the team and said the next GrowthCon is going to be 35,000, people minimum. How do you start that plan? So we're going to, throughout this episode, we're going to dissect how you did it and the marketing plan behind it. But where do you even start when that's said?
So we were shopping for venues and we wanted to come back to Miami from Vegas last year. And it's a little bit more challenging because in Vegas, you have venues that they have hotels attached to them. So everybody kind of can stay in the hotel and it's the logistics are a little bit easier. Miami, much more beautiful than Las Vegas, but not quite as easy to pull the logistics of it off. So when you start getting into, we go 9,000 people and we say, hey, we want to do a bigger one. The amount of places just in the country, not let alone just like Miami, the amount of places in the country that can accommodate that size of an event, you go from a lot to a little. Like once you get over 10,000, it gets really challenging. And so we were actually, we had toured American Airlines Arena, we had toured the Miami Beach Convention Center, and then we toured Marlins Park. And we were thinking at the time we were going to double and do, 16,000, 17,000, 18,000, somewhere in that range. And we're touring the Marlins Park and we're walking around on the field looking at this big stadium. And Grant goes, how many people does the stadium hold? And obviously the Marlins aren't a great baseball team. So they get 4,000 or 5,000 people in a game. But the guy from the team goes, Joel Osteen had 35,000 people in here. And so Grant goes, guys, we need to do 35,000. So it was at that moment right there. And so when he said that, my heart sunk because that's a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of problems, a lot of push, and tick tock, the time's running out, right? Every day that goes by matters. And so when we're walking out, I'm already feeling like, man, how are we going to do this? And then he goes, it's your responsibility to sell all these tickets, right? As we're leaving the ballpark. So I didn't sleep for probably a week. I started grinding my teeth and, just trying to figure all this out. And, the first thing is, we had a lot of the event logistics. So speakers and all that stuff, but take all that stuff aside and just say, how are we going to start selling the ticket? So, obviously the first round was, we sold tickets at the last event. So we had some ticket sales from the people that went to the last GrowthCon. And then we hadn't really released pricing for the entire stadium. So for people that went to the GrowthCon in Vegas, I think the cheapest seat there was $300, maybe $400. And that was for a very limited run. We were trying to keep the ticket price a little higher. And so when we started mapping the seat out and doing, okay, well, how many seats do we have here and in this section and there and on the field and in VIP, you try to start forecasting revenue projections from ticket sales. And so we worked it all out and we got down. We're like, man, these seats up here, we're going to be able to sell these seats for less than $100. For $95, we're going to be able to sell these seats. And so when we went live with the 95, that was the first real big surge that we had because we had enough collateral and promo moving around from the last event. And so people knew the production quality. They knew the quality of the speakers. They knew that we were going to do a bigger event. When we came out with $95 in Miami, it was like rocket fuel, immediately, sales spiked. And so we got through a few thousand, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase here because I don't know the exact numbers as we were moving through the months, but we sold a good amount of the GA tickets. So in the entire GA section, there's about 10,000 seats. I think just under 10,000 seats. And that's like the very upper deck. And those were all the first seats that we're selling. And so we had kind of mapped out a plan to sell, have like most events do, like, early bird pricing, get your tickets here, deadlines coming for stage 1 early bird, stage 2 early bird, like just working out kind of a schedule to promote against. The problem with that is you're locked into a schedule. And when the schedule doesn't work or the plan doesn't work, then it forces you to be even more creative how you come back around and remarket at that price if you've already closed it out. So if you've been on the receiving end, a lot of the marketing, you'll see that. I mean, we're figuring all of this out like as we go. We're trying to respond to the market as these things are happening. And if you put events together, number one, that event tickets are crazy hard to sell. And when you have 10 or 11 months until the event, you have that many people, like you literally have to sell tickets every day. Like you have to be promoting every single day. And it was a full-on takeover, and that was our first big rush. And then I was like, we need to get planned out, more strategic about this. So I put together a schedule, but then it wasn't working. Grant came in and said, hey, it's not going to go fast enough. We need to change the model. So then we basically lock out sections of seats, and then we focus in one area. Like we focus in like basically eating the stadium apart section at a time. And then you've got to get creative with how you're marketing and promoting it and what you're calling it. Fortunately for us, we have a lot of products that we can tie into. We've got corporate business. We've got real estate program. We've got Cardone University we can sell, and we can combine it with coaching. And so there's a lot of different repackaging that goes on to continue to market a fresh offer, right? And to continue to present the same thing 50 different ways. So a very long answer to your question, but we get to 35,000, and then we just got to start looking at like, how do we start breaking these chunks apart? And as we got kind of closer in, there was a lot of doubt. Like, are we going to make it? Like, I mean, we were at probably like 12,000. I remember when we crossed 10,000 seats. We've got like 3 numbers that we're measuring. We've got and you can see them all over the office. Number 1 over here is countdown till GrowthCon. Number 2, and Anik, you've been in our office, so you know all the boards that we have around, the digital boards. Number 2 is ticket sales. So how many seats have we sold? And then number 3 is seats remaining. So we have a countdown, a count up, and then a countdown to the event. So, I mean, we're making these changes and we're making these modifications based on these numbers and how they're moving. And, we got to sell 230 tickets a day. And then, you go through 2 or 3 weeks where ticket sales are off, and you're like, man, we got to sell 247 tickets a day. And then, you get up, we got to sell 300 tickets a day. And then you have a promo that really works. And then things start, the pace starts accelerating. So the way that you sell tickets to an event this big and sell it out is do whatever it freaking takes. That's how you do it. Because if you get too locked into one thing and you say that this is the way it's got to be, you're going to find out real quickly that it doesn't. The market's going to correct you. And so you just have to be really nimble.
That's awesome. Well, listen, you skipped right ahead and you went into other rounds. So that's awesome. I'm going to come back. I got a bunch of other questions I do want to ask about this because that was really, really cool. You answered my next round's question, which was how long before the event did you start selling the tickets? And you said 10 to 11 months. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, we were basically selling the tickets at the last event, when like the last day of the last event, we made an offer. We didn't get a ton of sales. So like another thing you have to think with is like we made an offer where people could get an executive level seat for $1,000 and get access to Cardone University for a year. I'm sorry, it was $2,000 for an executive seat and Cardone U for a year. And so like we had the ability to make that offer. If you're just selling a ticket, then maybe your deal has to change. But we're coming out of that event and we're moving into, okay, now we have to start selling tickets. So we went probably 3 or 4 weeks where we were kind of in a lull, and then it was like, we're back into it. So, 11 months of promo.
Got it. 11 months. All right. Awesome. So we're going to come back to the marketing side in just a second. I do have a bunch of questions there. Let's move on and let's do round number 2. And we're going to ask some questions that I don't think anyone's asked yet about the event. All right, so round 2. Have you publicly disclosed what it costs to run such a big event? I mean, stadium, AV, security, staffing. It's a lot. Gives me indigestion just thinking about it. So tell us a little bit about that. Yeah,
so we were projecting, like, we were kind of like, ha, it's probably going to cost $10 million. But it was a little bit more than that. By the time it's all said and done, it's probably going to be 10 and a half.
Okay. Dude, I mean, that's most people's entire annual revenue. And that's like a big company in our space. That's a huge number. So how the heck, okay, you sold tickets, right? Does that cover the cost? Like, how do you monetize it? So this is the next question I had in the next round, but I'm just going to roll into it. How do you monetize and make sure you're prepared to cover that $10.5 million?
Yeah. So ticket sales did cover it. If I were to say that like looking back over last year, I thought ticket sales would have been higher than they were, but our cost per seat was lower too. So the revenue per seat. So like, I thought because of the volume that we would have done, 20 million in ticket sales, but it wasn't, because when you start breaking it out and doing all the math is really important. Like conservative math is really important. Like when we're backing into these things at the beginning, we're going, okay, well, if we sell this many seats at X, and then we have like a conservative number, and when you really start looking at events, there's so many other ways that events benefit you if you do them at the proper magnitude. Like this event here, we spent $800,000 on billboards in Miami. We did not do $1 million in sales from Miami, but everybody in Miami knew about the event. We had Miami Heat players there. We had Miami Dolphins players there. We had local celebrities and influencers there. So like, you have to understand like what is the big purpose. So for us, I mean, obviously we don't ever lose money on anything, and that should never be a target. But when you put an event together of this size, there's so many other ways that the event benefits the company. So those are all factors that we're making. Are we going to get the $1 million in local advertising or local media back in ticket sales? Probably not. But now everybody in Miami knows Grant, knows 10x. And so real estate people that Grant does real estate deals with here, everybody's seeing, they're like, man, you're everywhere here. So it hits on multiple levels. And I think that people just need to understand like what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Like what else other than selling your product or making a buck on a ticket are you looking to do?
You mentioned a lot about Miami. Would you say a large percentage of your attendees came from Miami?
Probably 5,000 to 6,000 of them.
Okay, that's a pretty big percentage. Okay, wow.
A lot of people traveled in, dude.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, that's all you saw on Facebook, right? During the time the event was happening, the most popular question is who's going to 10x, and the second question was I got to 10x, who's here? It was all we got to see. So if I'm taking it right, you're not really necessarily doing an event for the dollar amount. This is so let me talk to you about my kind of conundrum with events and why I avoid them many times at Learn is when you get done with the event, after all that's gone into the event, after all of the time and the energy, opportunity cost, team members, physical relocation to go to the event and just all of that. And then you look at what you pull out in net income, and that includes like what you make from speaker sales and blah, blah, blah. It just never makes sense. I always think, man, if I had just take that time and energy, put into an online program, I'd be making so much more. But you hit on it. It doesn't look like that's why you do the event to begin with.
Well, it's also, so number one, it's the hardest money that we make, without a doubt. Like it's harder doing an event than it is making cold calls. Like it's, it's definitely not easy money, but it serves a multifaceted purpose. Number one, it connects us with our community locally. Number two, it connects us with our community of 10Xers around the world. It gives them, like, people still have, like, our primary business is education online. People still want to see things. They want to have experiences. And so like, is it hard for us? Yes. Does it cost a lot of time, money, energy, effort, opportunity cost of things we could be working on? Yes. But it also serves a very specific purpose within our product mix, you know, and it gives people the experiences that they need to come and meet people and connect. And our business is about more than just education. It's about getting around the right people and learning from the top experts in the world. I mean, like, looking back, like, we don't have people like speak at our events that, like, we haven't vetted out, that we don't believe will have great value and will share great information with the audience. You know, maybe there's one or two, definitely not Anik. Anik is definitely was at the top of the list. But, you know, like, at the end of the day, like, this is about us giving back to our people. You know, they love the 10X Growthcon. They look forward to the 10X Growth Conference. You know, the fact that we don't like doing it, I mean, that sounds kind of like a selfish reason not to do it, when it's something that everybody in the community looks forward to so much.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely awesome. Cool. Well, I thought that's what you would say. And thanks for sharing that number. I hadn't read it anywhere. $10.5 million to put that thing together. So think big, think huge. All right, let's move into the next round. We're going to be going into round number 3. All right, so now's the moment we've all been waiting for. I want to dive deeper into what you were talking about, how you sold these tickets. So you mentioned general admission, $95, when you announced it about 10 months before the event. I get it that you had so much clout from the past events and so much, you know, discussion about it, that when you launched that $95 ticket, I think sales just started coming in and of themselves. It sounds like they just started coming in.
I mean, you know, like, we sell like 2,000 tickets in a week, you know, and we try to kind of launch stuff and take it away. So, hey, we're opening a section of general admission seating for $95. Retail price is $295, $395, $495, something like that. We're releasing these section of seats for $95, and so, by doing a section of the seats and not the entire section, it gives us the ability to have another lever to pull it on off. Because when they're sold out, they're sold out. You know, if we say it's the entire section and we don't specify that, then it makes it harder to go, they're sold out. And then we come back and we're like, hey, well, we've got 4,000 more, you know? So move into a specified section, try to get a time on it so that you can say, hey, this section's sold out. Timer's expired. As marketing tools, those are really, really great things to be able to leverage deadlines and scarcity.
Yeah, and that also builds momentum, right? It builds this like social proof momentum, because like you start seeing sections that are sold out. So I can definitely see some great power to that. So that 2,000 in a week, let's dissect that. Was that just, did you do a bunch of Facebook ads for it? Did you just do an email blast? Did you just post about it somewhere?
So I think we spent maybe $1 million, like $1.2 or $1.3 million on Facebook throughout the entirety of the promo cycle.
So when you said $10.5 million in cost, does that include the $1.2 million?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, that includes marketing costs. Got it. So you spent about $1.2 million on just Facebook ads.
Yeah, we spent like probably just over $2 million in marketing.
Okay, so and the rest of it, you had said you did local marketing. 800,000 was all like local billboards. Was that correct?
Billboards and TV.
Billboards and TV, but local in that Miami area.
Yeah, and then we sent them to a locals landing page. So again, when you're using traditional media like that, it's you have to assume that people don't know Grant. So it's like, unlike marketing on Facebook to cold traffic, like they don't know Grant. So I can't send them to a page where they don't know Grant and they see some, you know, wonky deal that we're doing to sell out a section of seats. Like if we're moving on a section of VIP seats and we've blacked out every other seating section so we can focus on this one area, and it's a $1,500 seat or a $2,000 seat, the likelihood of somebody cold driving by a billboard or seeing a commercial and then buying a $2,000 seat are very low. So then we had a kind of a gate around Florida so that when people within Florida IP addresses we would assume that they were seeing local media, billboards or targeted local ads, that they would go to a Florida locals landing page that showed them kind of offers on every ticket, you know?
That is cool. And anyone who's listening, I hope you took away what he just said, that they were very intentional about the local demographic and knowing that those people may be coming from a different walk of life, different world, and IP addressing them into a separate sales page so that they would see different offers. That's like the ninja stuff right there. That is awesome. So $1.2 million on Facebook ads, total marketing cost of $2 million. That first 2,000 came mostly through was there anything else? So we got local marketing, we got Facebook, we got your email list that I'm sure you guys were mailing. Did you do any partnerships? Did you bulk move any tickets with someone?
Russell Brunson and Ty Lopez both bought sections of seats for their people. They both have pretty big followings and audiences, and we've done a lot with both Russell and Ty. Russell spoke at every one of the conferences, so they bought sections of seats for their people. Also, Cole Hatter, who runs the Thrive event. He's a friend of the Cardone crew, and he bought 250 seats for his group too. And so we basically approached some people that have audiences and do events, and we just said, hey, this could be a great promo opportunity. We'll sell you like wholesale rates. And then you could offer them in a bundle or whatever, and then we'll promote your event or the thing that you're trying to do. So we leveraged a little bit of that. It's always honestly a bit disappointing when we do that because, people just don't promote. Most people just don't promote other people's stuff.
So the sections end up being empty.
Well, no, like they got people there, right? But I'm just saying it's always a bit disappointing when you try to get people to participate in promotion because they're always really reluctant. So, just no matter what level you play at, like if you're watching and you have a small company, like, dude, even when we go and we want to partner with somebody, you think that, man, if they were showing affiliation with our company, that could provide them with a little bit of lift, I would think. And they just elect not to. So it's just really interesting how social dynamic works behind all this stuff. But anyways, at the end of the day, if it's up to me, it's up to me. So accept responsibility.
That's what Grant said, right? He said, you got to sell these tickets. So Cole bought 250. Between Russell and Ty, how many did they end up taking? Because I got to be honest, I assumed before coming on here, that maybe you just, gave away or wholesaled a lot of tickets to get to 35,000. So I'm trying to figure out like how many total.
Yeah. So the giveaway tickets that we did have were, we gave away 4,000 seats to heroes, veterans. We called it our hero section. So it was veterans, active duty military, police, fire, basically any like public service in that realm. We gave free tickets to teachers, nurses. So anybody that kind of fits in that genre that we call like in the public service area would be considered a hero. We blocked out a section of 4,000 for them. Again, free stuff is not always easy to work with either. So, getting people to redeem tickets, making sure they're going to show up. I mean, we had to promote that we were giving away these free tickets over and over and over again. We had ads, paid advertising to market free tickets. Like we did it. We did a thing like maybe 2 years ago where Grant was, we gave away $1 million in cash. It was the hardest thing we ever did. I mean, outside of the GrowthCon, it was so hard to give people money. We were doing smaller increments, like $100 to $1,000. It was so hard. People had to do the simplest things and they couldn't do it. Like the simplest little things to just give us their information, where to send the money to. It was so much work. So even if it's free, it still requires work. And I mean, like there were points where I'm like, I'm getting brain damage right now trying to give away a free ticket when I could be spending the same energy on a ticket that we're actually collecting revenue for. But it was a thing, you know, Grant he always wanted to be in the military, never was. He loves military, police, firefighters, all these people that do great work for the communities and never get recognized like they should. So it was a give back for us.
No, that's awesome, man. That's powerful. So the truth is really, I'm going to summarize here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but basically the bulk of your tickets were sold using Facebook, local marketing, your email list, and that's it. It wasn't some ninja magic tricks and the phone. So you had your phone team wheeling and dealing to sell these tickets, not like, hey, we're closing something else, we'll throw in a free ticket, but like actually calling to close these tickets?
So we went through different phases. You know, obviously my sales team in the back, they're selling $30, $50, $100, $200,000 training contracts to companies. They're not trying to sell a $95 ticket. So it's something that they bring into the conversation. It's not something that they were primarily focused on. Same thing with our what we're calling now our sales support team. It's like a hybrid customer service role because they're actively selling product for us. You know, their primary function is to handle customer service issues. But when we had certain sections available, you know, our diamond tickets, 13, 14, 15K, you know, a lot of those did not come through Shopify. You know, those were conversations that were had on the phone with people, but we do have people that check out for 15K. I mean, that's part of having a trustworthy brand, you know, that people were just swiping their card for 15 grand, 30 grand, 2 diamond tickets at a time.
So Jarrod, I'll give you a funny story. You'll appreciate this. A few months back, I don't know if you remember, it was probably last year. You and I had a call. So I called into the office to the reception and I said, hey, can you connect me to Jarrod? I have a call with him. And the person's like, yeah, absolutely. So, are you going to be at GrowthCon? And I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about it. Well, what's there to think about? And I was like, oh God, here we go. I'm going to get sold now. And I told him, I said, you know, I might not be around. I have to wait and see my schedule. Well, why don't we just lock you in on a ticket? Make sure, you know, it's there. So your seat is, sir. And I just started laughing. The guy on the other side is just pausing. I said, brother, if I can come, I'll come. Trust me. I just connect me to Jarrod, please. But I saw that and I was like, you know what? Now that is, you could tell that everything in the company, it was like, the first question was, do you have your ticket? Right? And I was like, that was the driving force behind everything. Pretty powerful stuff, because I think if you're listening to this podcast, if you're watching this, I think you got to take away from the fact that they're smart about how they do stuff. And yes, of course, they had a big brand coming into it. They have customers pouring in from all angles already. But in the end, it comes down to advertising, being intentional, giving it enough time and focusing on it. One of the things that I love what you said, and I want everyone to listen to this and take away from it, and I'm learning something from it, was I love how you repackaged the same ticket. You said this a while ago, and I saw this happening. I actually witnessed you doing this, but it wasn't the same boring message. I see this all the time. People are selling tickets to an event, and for 10 months, it's just like the ticket. But with you, I would see different deals, different combos, different products, different combinations, and you were using that to lead in and back end the ticket, essentially. It was different carrots is what I would say to get people in, and that's what kept it very, very interesting, and probably how you were able to spend $1.2 million on Facebook. One last question, Jarrod, before we move on to some other stuff about this. Your Facebook targeting, what were you targeting? Was it just your hot audiences, your warm? Because, I mean, obviously Grant's got a huge Facebook page, Instagram page. Or were you going cold? Were you going out into the world and sucking people into your funnel?
It depends on what creative we were using. Obviously, warm targeting, lookalike audiences. We targeted like interest groups as well. So like we take, the top 30 different influencers or experts in the space, motivational speakers or whatever, and try to create and try to have ad creative that spoke to those particular groups. And we started having, Steve Harvey, Damon John Maxwell, Bethany Frankel, Sarah Blakely. Like if you notice there was definitely an elevation in the people that we had this year over any previous year, because, we went out and we paid people. I mean, we spent money on speakers this year, people that we put on a billboard and they know. And that leads me into this. We were running creative without Grant in it. So like to our own event, we would run an ad set with John Maxwell and Steve Harvey and Bethany Frankel. We would run an ad set with Sarah Blakely, Bethany Frankel, and Elena Cardone. We would run an ad set with Damon John Maxwell, and Steve Harvey. So we know that Grant isn't everything to all people. And so we were trying to reach those different audiences by just saying, hey, look, females that follow Spanx or something. I don't know. But when you take we weren't going to get any promo from most of our speakers. That's just, again, it's just one of those disappointing things. But yeah, so we took ad sets and we were creating campaigns around the other speakers, right? We were going outside of just Grant, because obviously with a diverse group of speakers, they all have different audiences of their own. They all speak to different things. And so by having that kind of that reach with the audience, we were able to kind of package the campaigns in a way where we thought we could get pretty good coverage across the interest spectrum.
Man, amazing. I got to tell you, the amount of ideas that I've got flowing through my own head, I'm not going to do a 35,000 person event just yet. I'll probably do a little bit smaller first, but that is some powerful stuff. All right, last question about Facebook ads, I swear, and then we'll move on. Did you do these? Because that's a lot of ad sets. That's a lot. Just from what you're explaining, all the different segments, targeting, you got to refresh them every now and then. Did you do this internally in-house, or did you use an agency? All in-house?
Yep.
How big is your Facebook team that ran this?
2.
Wow. Were they sleeping at all?
So, I mean, look, this is part of the benefit of being in an office. A lot of people that run web-based businesses don't have like a brick and mortar physical office. And when you can get everybody in one place and you can have, we're looking at campaigns, we're tweaking things, something's happening over here that has to deal with the Facebook guy. And instead of a phone call or a text message or a Slack message having to go through its delay cycle to get to him, he's hearing it instantly. And so, we're launching creative, getting it approved, watching it, scaling it, killing it because it's not working. So all that stuff's happening in real time. So there's a lot of intention on it. Again, this goes back to the opportunity cost, because it's a complete pivot to everything is focused on GrowthCon. Oh, by the way, just so you know, this is a number that we pulled before the call. 178 million emails.
178 million emails were sent to promote this promote tickets?
Yeah.
How big is your mailing database that you mail now at Cardone Enterprises?
The active 600,000.
That's crazy. So wait, 178 million emails over the course of about 11 months to a database that's about 600,000.
Yeah, it's probably the mailing, the group that we actually mail to is probably smaller than that. Probably half that. Who actively engages and opens and all that.
And for all of you listening right now saying, I can't do something's not working, I can't get people into a webinar, that's it. That's the point. That's probably the trailer of this episode. 178 million emails. Yeah,
dude. So check this out. So we had when we would go through certain sections, this is a pro tip right here. Again, this goes back to I'm a phone sales guy. So we're not afraid to use the phone here. We're not ashamed of it. We don't try to get everything to transact through email and Facebook ads. We pick up the phone. When we were pushing on certain emails for certain sections of seating, I basically, what we do is we would assign the team like 4 buckets. So like if there was an abandoned cart, they got called. If there was a click through in the email, they got a call. If there was an open on the email, they got a call. So we would basically create a system where if for not all the seats, but we would move from most interested down with phone calls as we're trying to move through sections of seats. So use the phone, right? Like it's powerful.
Yeah. Look, what I keep taking away, Jarrod, is the intentional marketing. I mean, this is not just you throw an event. I mean, this is like every chunk, every piece, every step of your whole company. How can we make this intentional? Jarrod, I just want to say before we move on to the closing rounds here, I was not expecting this level of detail that you've shared. So I just want to take a minute to appreciate you on behalf of everyone who's listening, Learn Nation, the Fighting Entrepreneur community. This is powerful stuff right here, and it's going to empower a lot of other people who want to dream just as big as you guys did. So thank you very much for doing that. Powerful stuff. All right, let's move on to, I don't know what round we're on, number 4 or whatever. Who cares anymore? Round number 4. All right, challenges. Man, 35,000 people, one room. You got all kinds of crazy people out there. You got security. I heard some stuff about like the fire marshal showing up. You got Grant jumping into the stadium.
Yeah, so like any event, like I've just come to accept the fact that events are all about mitigating issues. Like that's all you do during the event is there's an issue here, there's a problem there, there's a thing here, there's something happening there. And so your goal is to basically just keep everything running as smooth as possible for the majority of the people that are there. One of the biggest challenges that we had is we don't have enough staff. We have 126 employees. We don't have enough staff to staff the event. So we had like 180, 200 temps. The venue had a new security company. There was issues with like the security company somehow made up this thing about the way that certain people got into a certain section, and we had like VIPs that weren't like, because the security like wasn't communicating with our team because it was a brand new company for the venue. So that created a problem. The catering company did something and the fire marshal was there. The fire marshal shut down the whole VIP area and wouldn't let people in, until they moved all these tables around. So we're moving that all around. We did Grant was like, hey, we got to get rid of these shirts. We have all these t-shirts. Go up and do 2 for $10, $5 each, 2 for 10. And so from stage, I said, hey, two for 10 on the shirts while they last. And it was like mass exodus out of the stands into this one little area where we were selling t-shirts. And the fire marshal shut that down because there were like 700 people trying to cram into this little like memorabilia type store trying to buy tickets. It was a total chaos and frenzy, but you're never going to handle all the issues. We had ticketing issues. We had badge issues. It was issues. It was issues left and right, but that's just no matter if we're doing a 25,000 person event, a 35,000 person event, or a 2,500 person event, if you're doing a 35 person event, you will have things come up that you did not expect and you did not plan for. And the best that you can do is handle it the best you can in that situation. Try to make sure people are happy, and know that just people there's going to be some people you're never going to make happy.
So quick question, is Grant's foot okay?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Grant parachuted out of a plane into the stadium and then he hurt his foot. Last year, the man was so excited he lost his voice. Grant constantly hurts himself at GrowthCon.
He dropped down from the ceiling last year.
Hey, did he jump out of his own plane? Someone told me that. That just sounded nuts. No, right? Okay, I was like, no.
No. You don't
jump out of someone said he jumped out of his own plane. I'm like, what?
We had Snoop Dogg open the second day, and then we had Little John come out on the third day.
You should see our producer Joe's reaction right now. He's turned red and he's just like, what is this? This is ridiculous. It was awesome. If you guys listen, first of all, if you're listening right now, get your butts over to GrowthCon. It's another experience. It's just different. I don't know how to explain it. It's just crazy. It's next level. It's just fun to be there and everyone comes. Hey, listen, Jarrod, people want to learn more from you, more from Cardone Enterprises, more from Grant. Where do they go? How do they get involved in the next, the next GrowthCon is going to have what, 70,000 people? 80? 100,000?
Yeah. So I think we're probably going to go back to the same venue. It's not finalized yet, but every one of these has been a little bit different. And so we're going to continue making it a little bit different. Like last year in Vegas, Grant didn't speak a whole lot, and he didn't the previous year either, our first event. It was like Grant had like maybe 2 kind of keynote slots, and then we had 20 something other speakers. So that was the first one. The second year we did the same thing, 20 something speakers. This year we said we're going to go much fewer speakers and we're going to have Grant speak more, and people loved it. And so we also, we had Steve Harvey come this year. We had John Maxwell come this year. We had some very iconic, legendary people in the personal development space. Then also, Bethany Frankel killed it. Sarah Blakely killed it. Jesse Itzler was one of the most highly reviewed speakers that we had. Ryan Dice killed it. Pete Vargas killed it. Everybody did a great job. So we just try to make it a little bit better every year. And we'd love for you to be a part of the next one. 10xgrowthcon.com is the site where you can go. If you have questions, you can track me down at Jarrod Glandt on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, JarrodGlandt at Jarrod Glandt, or call the office. We got people on the phones that would love to chat with you. 310-777-0255.
First person ever to actually give a phone number out on one of these when I say, how can someone reach you? Powerful stuff. Thank you so much. We have one final round. Okay, it's gonna be the hyper fast round where I ask you some fun questions. I did not send you these questions, so if you're looking for them, you don't have them. All right, just real quick, if you're watching this on YouTube, come on, go ahead and hit the little bell, hit subscribe, leave us a comment below, give some love to Jarrod. He came out here, poured his heart out, gave some internal stuff. I'm not even sure if he was allowed to give us this level of detail, but we won't tell Grant. Powerful stuff. Make sure you go to the iTunes part of the podcast. So go to iTunes, hit subscribe, leave us a review. It helps us get up in more ranking and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, listen to my podcast too, Young Hustlers.
Heck yeah. So go to iTunes and go listen to Young Hustlers and make sure you leave a review for them too and subscribe to it and give them all kinds of love, all right? Come on, make it happen. Go to learn.com if you haven't already, LURN.com. Get your free membership. We got 250,000 people now that are in there getting amazing free training and free courses and awesome paid courses, and just, it's awesome, all right? You got to get in there. Make sure you join that movement. Remember, Learn, we are here. We bring people together to inspire, empower, connect. We are the transformational home for entrepreneurs. It is because of Learn that we can even do this podcast. It is because of Learn that I can even speak to Jarrod. Make sure you make it happen. Thank you very much. Last rapid fire round. Here we go, Jarrod. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Next event. How many people?
Probably 35,000.
Your number one suggested way of selling tickets to a live event for anyone listening?
Whatever it takes.
I like that. All right. Number 3. What one thing will you change in the next event? Some lesson you learned from this one. Like, what's the next one going to have? Or what are you going to fix?
Maybe curating better networking opportunities. It's something I've always had my attention on. A lot of people come out for networking, so curating the networking opportunity.
I like that. All right. What's one crazy thing you've done in your life that most people don't know about?
I used to ride dirt bikes all the time. Been in the hospital a couple times, because of it. So
I'm going to assume you're done with that now.
Yeah. Once I actually got a job where money was important, I was like, I can't.
All right. What's one thing you would tell yourself if you could go back in time 10 years ago?
Learn to cold call.
Listen, Jarrod, thank you so much. Everybody, find him on Twitter and everywhere at Jarrod Glandt, Young Hustlers Podcast. Get on that one as well. 10xgrowthcon.com. You better be at the next event. I know I will be. I had to miss this year, but I won't miss next. Thank you so much, Jarrod, man. You gave some amazing information. You're going to empower so many people out there. I'm going to apply to my events what you just taught, and I'll let you know how it goes. Thanks so much.
Love it. Let's go.
All right, everybody. Remember, when life pushes you, stand straight, smile, push it the heck back. See you inside Learn, and I'll see you on the next Fighting Entrepreneur Podcast episode. Talk to you later.
Thanks for listening to The Fighting Entrepreneur with your host, Anik Singal.